Hello, welcome to Frank's School. 180th day, second video. I said I'm taking my time right now, and in a sense I'm sort of enjoying the view from the top or from the bottom. I've completed a school year and I'm on that very last day, and I'm looking back at this fourth year. One thing I wanted to say about the last video, just minor maybe, is I said about the piston and the cylinder, and that was converted into so reciprocal motion was converted into rotary motion by that. Yeah, I think I should have said, well, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is just straight out rotary power. A water wheel just goes around. It doesn't go back and forth. A windmill just goes around. Once you've got a line shaft turning in a factory or a shop, it just goes around. You don't have to have reciprocal motion. An electrical motor doesn't have that, nor does a jet engine. Well, in any case, I talked enough about that. All right, going on, looking back at the year, after Christmas, just sticking to my habit, I used a movie right after the holiday. I went to Twelfth Night, Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, and that, you know, sort of self-explanatory. Then I tackled more directly a subject which is always lurking there in the background, and that is the trades. And it was after that that I sort of got stuck, and I had to get myself unstuck in this series of videos, because there's so much that sort of comes together with my idea about the trades. And I really need to not just look back. I need to go back to this year and listen to what I said again, actually, in a sense, to edit it or listen to myself. I covered so much ground in my attempt to explain things that I'd really never tried to explain before. And a lot of that happened right in there. I will end up going back, at least me personally. Then after that, I get going, and these were long. This was a long stretch, and I don't know if it was well advised. I had figured English teacher. That's how I explain to people, what am I? What kind of a teacher am I? I'm an English teacher. That's what it's called in the United States. They called it a language arts teacher. Eventually humanities was what settled down, but I was trained as an English teacher. I was an English major in college. And I thought, well, an English teacher ought to know about England, so the history of Britain. I undertook to go through guided viewing of the history of Britain by Shema, I think that's spelled right. And I was so disappointed to find out that most viewers were going to have to go out of their way, maybe even buy it, to watch that series. I have it. I've copied it for myself. And so disappointed after starting that way, I shifted over to another program I found called the Kings and Queens of England, which was, it sort of did the job too, in that it went in chronological order through British history. But I just didn't find it as satisfying. I'm not as interested in the kings and queens as I am more widely what was going on. But anyway, I did it. I went through that a long time. When I got to Easter, I think I actually paused in this, and I went back to Handel and Bach. I had saved Handel's Messiah Part 2 for Easter, and I taught through it. And then I also went to Bach's B minor Mass, minor, always wonder is it an E? It's an O, I think. His B minor Mass is huge work, and I taught through 3 movements of that to sort of celebrate Easter. Then after this was over, I concentrated on Portugal, the trip of 2015, and that was huge. That was a major undertaking and extremely valuable to me, at least, and I think to the Hawklings too. It was huge. The preparation for it, the trip itself, and then sharing what we had found. So that was huge as well. Then I saved the last 10 days or so, or maybe not 10, for what I called water love, to explain this sort of special relationship all my life I've had with fresh water, falling water. And baselines began by now. Baselines. I started to, on this property, I started to film locations, projects. So many of them look really rough because it's a baseline. That's where I'm going to start, and that was preparation for the 5th year, which has actually already begun. One other thing I can tell you now, and I'm still not done with day 180. I'm going to go on at least one more day. But I want to say that mid-year, at a certain point, there was a paradigm shift that occurred in my mind. Paradigm is sort of a way of organizing information. I had always thought of this property as a ranch or a farm, and I tried to restore it, tried to save what my grandfather had done. He had tried to make it into a ranch or a farm. He'd farmed it, he'd plowed, he'd grown corn. But at a certain point, I shifted, and I accepted that it really wasn't ever really a farm. It was a village, even though it had been forgotten, bulldozed. I mean, elsewhere in the course, I devoted quite a bit of time to the archaeology of finding that village. But that shifted the way I thought and the things I was doing. I thought, all right, if it was a village, I'll accept that, and I'll recover it if I can as a village. And that changed very much what I'm doing outside, and that will become much more evident in the 5th year. And then finally, like a blessing from on high, apprentices have shown up. I actually have about 5 people that I could call my apprentices, at least potentially. They're people, and especially exciting to me is young ones. There's about 3 or 4 boys that come to me because they want to learn. And boy, do I want to teach. What's a teacher without students? So the arrival of apprentices has been a rather wonderful thing, and I think it'll greatly affect the 5th year. All right, thanks for watching, and I think maybe one more time I'm going to look back before I then go on. Bye for now.